Hello everyone, welcome to all. So today we are starting with the fresh start from zero lecture. Okay, so basically we are going to cover the analog electronics full course. So we are starting with the very important topic, that is the MOSFET. So we will start from the very basic. We will going to learn the basic fundamental of the MOSFET, how the equations came, and what is the actual practical aspect. Okay, so when it comes to the VLSI, when it comes to the gate exam, or when it comes to the practical aspects, suppose that if you want to learn the analog electronics, then you should know, you should have to understand, and you should have to be very good analysis part. Okay, so we have with the Nayendu sir. He's from the IIT Kharagpur MTech VLSI, and so he is going to deliver all the lectures, and he will start with the analog, and he's very good in the analog side. So it is my also pleasure that I'm going to learn from the sir, and you all the people who are going to watch this video. So let grab some positive things, and let us understand the actual word of the analog electronics. Okay, so without wasting the time, let introduce my sir. So hello sir, over to you sir.
Hi, how are you?
Fine sir, what about you sir?
I am fine. Everything is going something right, something wrong. Okay, but it's a part of life.
Yes sir,
You
so
should
actually,
actually learn
if
from the.
yes sir, if there is
Hi,
no struggle,
yeah, tell.
no, if there is no struggle, there is no story.
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, I've copied my language and then repeated to me. Okay, so basically, yes, there will be some struggle, there will be some stress, and you should actually overcome it. Okay, so that is the thing. And more the challenges you get, more you will become more stronger.
Yes
Okay,
sir.
so and basically, you said me last day that you want to learn the analog electronics. So analog electronics, I just want to say you that it is quite important in VLSI. I think there is no chip where you can run means design everything totally digital. There has to be some part which is analog, and analog, say a 5% in an IC, at least in a digital IC, 5% has to be analog. Means you cannot do it in 100% digital. And analog, everything is analog because whatever you are speaking to something, suppose I am speaking and there is the speaker, so naturally that is actually analog, and that needs to be amplified, then it will be converted into digital, and then it will be transmitted. So you can actually understand that why analog is so important for us. And also, if you know the in-depth knowledge about analog, it can also help you in mixed signal analysis. When you are actually trying to design some transmitter, receiver, or something, it can actually help you.
Yes sir.
The first thing I am going to tell you about analog, that for analog, the other thing you also need to have a very good knowledge is control system, and the another thing is that you should also have a good knowledge on devices. These are not the important parameter. Important thing is that for analog you must have the good knowledge about MOSFET, about op amp, and other stuffs. But to know about the stability of a system, you should know about the say control system. And also when you are actually go to the fabrication part, you must have knowledge about the device. Okay,
Yes sir, absolutely.
so basic. Okay, so now let me talk about the trends. So now what is actually happening, that because of the progressive scaling, all the parameters of the MOSFET are being scaled down. So the length of the MOSFET is also being changed. It has been scaled down to a, say right now probably 5 nanometer, 3 nanometer, 7 nanometer is already in the market. If you see the iPhone, it is actually the processor is of 7 nanometer technology. If you see about the Samsung phone, they are the Snapdragon processor they are actually having, that is of 8 nanometer. That is the channel length, effective channel length. So naturally it is being scaled down. So now, because of these short channel effects, the MOSFET equation which you actually use right now, means in your college, the MOSFET equations which you have used are of no use. They have been changed. Okay. And
Absolutely
there
correct.
will be electric field. Huh?
Absolutely correct, sir.
What you said?
Absolutely correct.
Okay. So, okay. So there will be some there will be some critical electric field, and there will be some other mechanism which will actually taken into consideration, and then you will actually know about the saturation current and the linear current. And the second thing is that in this lecture, we will start with the MOSFET, because generally everyone used to start the analog with diode or with BJT and with other stuff. But I believe that MOSFET is the most important topic you should know for the analog VLSI or analog electronics.
Sir, one question.
So that is, yeah, tell me.
Sir, one question I'm generally asking, even I know, but I want like all the audience that is going to watch this video, he or she can know that from the practical perspective in the today's world, in the 2021. Okay. So like why we are always talking about the MOSFET. So can you please tell, like there are so many students who are studying in the university exam at the BTech level. So they don't know in from the practical prospect, like they are studying the diode equations. And so please tell about the today's scenario so that they can focus that they have to study this thing and why they are going to study only this.
Okay. MOSFET have some parameters which actually help, which is almost like which can actually help you to design a better amplifier. Okay. The first reason is the input resistance of the MOSFET is very high. It's almost like say you can say infinite, means, or in the range of say some very high kilo ohm or mega ohm range, the input resistance. So you have seen in the basic that while designing a voltage amplifier, you need your input resistance to be very high.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you tell me that to design a voltage amplifier, what you need, MOSFET or some BJT?
So there are so many advantages for the we can use the MOSFET, but we can say that the gain that we are getting in the BJT, that is more as compared to MOSFET.
No. Speed is more.
Yeah. So
Your speed is more.
basically we are going to prefer the MOSFET.
Basically, you have to prefer, and also one thing I can tell you that you can also change your, because there are many parameters you can play with in MOSFET that you can also do in BJT, but it is more convenient. And nowadays MOSFET are very easy to fabricate also.
Yes, sir. Basically we are using the
BJT
CMOS.
is also okay. So since MOSFET is very easy to fabricate, so naturally that is why we are actually using this MOSFET structure. So first of all, the fabrication, and there are many other factors for which we actually go for the MOSFET. And about the diode is something which is actually a unilateral device, nothing else. We we just employ, or we can utilize its property of this unilaterality, and that we generally use. But MOSFET you can be used as an amplifying devices, and it actually can help you. Suppose if your load resistance is very small, suppose, and your input resistance is very high in MOSFET, but what I've said, only in few configuration, only in common source configuration, your input resistance is very high. And suppose you are connected to a load which has very small resistance. So naturally, or say something that the output resistance of the common source amplifier is such that the resistance which you have, actually it can actually match up, means termination is correct. So in that way, if your if your termination is correct, then also always MOSFET is always preferable. Okay. And your input resistance is infinite or say very high.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. So
So
basically, sir,
let me let
you will start from basic, like you are using the configuration term, the common source, and so you are going to deal
okay.
with all this thing. Okay.
And over there, when we will go for the BJT, then it will be clear that why BJT is not nowadays are not so used. Nowadays, are more reliable than BJT. But if you talk about the high speed operation, then you need BJT. And in my entire VLSI course, what I have seen, and just now I've said that the input resistance and the output, the termination part, whatever I have seen till now, that believe me, BJT I have seen only in the band gap reference circuits. Other than that, I have never seen BJT. All things I have seen, even when you are actually you are trying to make an op amp, you are using you are using MOSFET. When you are actually designing a current reference or current mirror, current reference I'm saying, you are actually using MOSFET. In band gap reference also, you need MOSFET. But there are some because since it's a band gap reference, so you need something that your temperature, with temperature, the there should not be any degradation. So there will be some positive temperature coefficient and there should be some negative temperature coefficient, such that the total temperature coefficient is 0. So for that we need that BJT. Okay, but other than that, I have never seen any BJT. Even for switch capacitor also, you can use MOSFET. There is nothing.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Fine. So
So the most important topic, or the most important topic, is that is MOSFET, which is the main business in our VLSI industry. So let me share my screen. Okay.
okay, sir.
So basically, you can see that this is the three-dimensional structure of the MOSFET. And let me tell you that there was actually a piece of silicon over which there was a doping of an acceptor type. I'm again telling you, this is very lightly doped silicon. Okay, this is very lightly doped silicon. And over there, very lightly doped silicon with acceptors, this p-type. And over there, there was actually two heavily doped n plus region, which was actually doped with the donor atoms. And we can actually tell that the left part is source and the right part is drain, but there is no hard and such rule that this has to be source, this has to be drain. MOSFET is a symmetric device. If this is source and this is drain, you can also say that this is, means if this is source and this is drain, you can also say that this is drain and this is source. Okay, so there is no hard and such rule. And over there is actually an oxide layer which is grown, and this oxide layer, you will always try to fabricate this oxide layer in such a way that it should be a good dielectric. It should behave like a very good dielectric, and its electrical property is such that it will act like a perfect insulator. And over the oxide layer, you should deposit a metal layer. It can be a polysilicon layer also. Polysilicon layer, I'm telling that generally in MOSFET, you need to undergo some many high temperature operations. Okay,
When it
so
comes to annealing.
okay, so there can be many high temperature operations, and aluminum can melt, but polysilicon will not melt. So if you do the gate first technology, I'm telling, then you should actually fabricate this part much earlier. And then you should actually dope this source and the drain region. So for that, it is better to dope with, it is better to have a polysilicon layer as the metal layer. Okay, and it has quite good metallic property. So there is nothing you can nothing so bad to replace the aluminum with the polysilicon layer. And also there are some delay factor. Delay factor also nowadays it has been improved. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this part is cleared, and
Yeah,
this is the width of the. Acha, this is your width from here to here. This is the width, and this is actually the length. And one thing I can say you that there is also some term called as TOX. Here is the TOX factor that is actually from here to here. This is actually the width of the oxide layer. And one thing I should tell you that you can actually visualize that suppose we are considering about this part. So don't consider like it is the layer. It is not a layer. It is a three-dimensional figure. It goes like this.
yes, yes.
And it goes like this. So if it is a straight line from here to here, so naturally you can see that it is nothing but a cuboid. It is not a rectangle.
Yes, sir.
It is not a rectangle. It is actually a cuboid. Okay. And generally this is the symbol of an MOSFET. This is the generally symbol of a MOSFET, and this is gate, this is drain, and this is source. And generally once you define this source, so whatever the voltage you will we will give at gate, we should always remember, or while calculating we should always define that gate voltage with respect to the source voltage. Okay.
So, sir,
So
let me
and
ask
one thing
question.
I should also tell you. Yeah, tell me.
Yes, sir. You can continue. Then I will ask the question.
Okay. And one thing I should tell you that when you are applying this gate to source voltage, I am talking about this N MOSFET. Okay. And when you are actually applying this gate to source voltage as positive, means suppose the source is ground, the source is grounded, and suppose the body is also grounded. The body is also grounded. So naturally, when you are actually applying this a positive voltage over here, this gate voltage is positive, then actually you will see a lot of electrons, because there is a positive, now there is a positive electric field, so that whatever the electric field will be, it will be from this direction to this direction. So naturally all the electrons were there, it will get attracted towards this side. So naturally there will be a layer of electrons. Okay, and you have seen that this is of p type, but over there is a channel of, or the layer of electrons. So now what you have seen that there is actually an inversion. Okay, first of all there will be some depletion, and then there will be an inversion. And whenever this VGS from gate to source voltage, whenever this VGS is less than VTN, means there is some particular voltage, that is threshold voltage. So whenever that is less, then there will be, it is not the thickness of this induced channel is not enough for the conduction, because in a conductor you have seen that suppose this is a conductor, from here to here there is a conductor. If you apply a positive voltage over here and a negative voltage over here, so naturally the current will flow from here to here, so all the electrons will go from here to here. But here also, suppose this is your drain end and this is your source end, and suppose you have applied a positive voltage and here say ground or zero potential you have taken, so naturally the electron should flow from this negative side to the positive side. But if your VGS is less than VTN, that thickness of means carriers are not strong enough, or are not enough to have a conduction, or not strong enough to have a current from drain to source, or the carriers cannot move from say source to drain. Okay, you will not have a steady current. And now when your VGS is actually greater than this VTN, then you can see, oh, hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, then you can see that this, there is a, over here you can see that from source to drain, there is actually a channel, which is actually the inversion layer channel. Inversion layer channel, you will see like this, like this. You will see an inversion layer channel, and that is enough. Now, if your drain voltage is higher than the source voltage, then there will be some current flowing through it. Achha.
Yes, sir.
One important point. Right now in our anything means IC manufacturing, when there will be not one MOSFET, there can be many MOSFET in the cascaded form or in some other form. So what you needs to do, this body needs to be connected to the lowest potential which is present in the IC for the N MOSFET. And for the P MOSFET, this body needs to be connected to the highest potential which is present in the IC. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, why so?
No, that is required. Generally, there are some. If you go with the twin tub technology or something, then you will get to know about it. So that is totally device oriented. Okay. Right now, the way we are actually fabricating something, so over there you will get to know that actually that happens, that it is mandatory that all the body of the PMOS should be connected to the highest potential, and all the body of the NMOS should be connected to the lower potential. For
Okay,
that,
sir.
you need a little knowledge about the fabrication process and all.
Okay, sir. So, sir, I
Okay.
want to conclude one point.
Yes.
As sir, I'm giving the interview in the VLSI industry. Like, so
Hmm.
this question is very familiar. Like, the people who are sitting in the interviews, they're asking that why the source is at to the lowest potential. So, can you please give the 1 or 2 line answer? Like, we can say that, like, for minimization of the body effect, we are doing this, right?
No, no. Source is at the lowest potential.
For the NMOS.
Okay, okay. No, actually what you are doing, you need your VGS to be greater than 0,
Fine.
gate to source. So naturally, if your gate is higher potential, so naturally for VGS to be positive, can source be at a higher potential? Can source be at a higher potential?
No,
Because
no.
you need a positive VGS.
Yes, yes.
So naturally your source has to be less than VG,
Yeah, yeah.
first of all. And now we will discuss about that there is also VDS needs to be greater than 0. VDS also needs to be greater than 0 such that there is some current.
Yes, yes. Fine.
Okay.
Hmm.
So naturally, if you think that VDS is greater than 0, so naturally if VD is positive, so naturally VS needs to be at the lowest potential among the three terminals.
Yes, yes. Fine, fine.
And always remember that for conduction means to have a strong channel of enough thickness. What I said, that your gate to source means VGS has to be greater than VTN. I have said like this. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
I have said that VGS is actually greater than VTN. So naturally, the minimum difference between this gate voltage and this source voltage has to be the VTN. Okay.
Fine.
VG needs to be just VTN higher than the source voltage. Okay.
Fine.
Then now the main topic, that is VDS equal to 0. If your drain and source are at same potential, then VDS is actually 0. So actually when VDS is actually 0, then you can see, then you will have a thick charge, and you can see that there is actually a cuboid. There is a cuboid, and this is a cuboid shaped induced or inversion layer of electrons. Correct?
Yes, yes. Fine.
Okay. So now, if the if there is no potential difference between drain and source, so naturally there cannot be any current.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, suppose your drain to source voltage has been increased from 0 voltage, it has increased, but it is lesser than this VGS minus VTN. I'm again telling this VGS minus VTN means there has means from here to here there is a voltage that VGS. So the difference of this voltage is greater than VTN, and that difference is actually the VOV. VGS is greater than VTN in order to have a layer of electrons. And since VGS is greater than VTN, so there has to be some difference.
Yes, sir.
VGS is greater than VTN, so there needs to be some difference,
Yes,
and
sir.
that difference is your overdrive voltage. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that overdrive voltage is going to define many things. I'm telling. Acha, one thing I have forgotten to say, that more you have the VGS, means more voltage you apply at this gate voltage, I can tell you that more thickness you will get for the induced channel. Okay, if you need a more stronger channel or more thickness, then you need the gate potential to be much higher. Okay, then the thing is that now this is the scenario. Once you increase the VDS, what you will see that earlier it was like this, but now it is actually get tapered towards the drain. So the thickness at the drain region is actually getting reduced. Clear?
Okay.
Okay. And always remember that the thickness of the channel means the channel, that is actually inversion layer towards the source end has to be stronger. Or else there cannot be some, because that is the source. So that is actually producing those electrons. Means not producing, I said, actually the electrons are coming from the source to the drain. So naturally that needs to be much stronger.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And you can actually, if you can evaluate that what is the value of the drain current, means the current which is actually flowing from here to here. So actually you will get that this is actually the equation. Okay, and more you increase the VDS voltage, the drain voltage, more you increase, more it gets tapered. Okay.
Yes, sir. Fine.
Achha. One thing over here, that when actually your drain to source voltage is equal to the overdrive voltage, then the thickness of the channel towards the drain end will get reduced to 0. Okay. So this is actually the edge of saturation region. Okay. Now, another topic is that when VDS is very small or small, say, so then that is almost equal to like a VDS is actually 0. Okay, so over there I have said that there is a cuboid. The layer of the inversion layer of electrons is like a cuboid.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here also you can consider that if VDS is small, then actually there will be some tapering actually from here to, actually there will be some tapering actually. Just a minute, it was wrong. So let me draw it again. So from here to, say, there is a little bending like this, but actually you can approximate that it is actually like a cuboid like this.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
When we are going to look the 3D structure, it will look like a cuboid.
It will almost behave like a, it will almost not behave, it is almost like a cuboid. So naturally from drain to source, you can realize that there is a thickness of electrons. So naturally it is almost behaving like a conductor. From drain to source, it is like a conductor. So naturally there will be some resistance.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So over here, I have actually approximated it. So I have actually cancelled this term, and then I have got this. And then if you just differentiate it, then you will get this linear conductance and this linear resistance. And one thing I also want to say that here the conductance is actually is proportional to your overdrive voltage, because I have already said you that more the overdrive voltage or more the gate voltage is, more the thickness will be,
More the current.
more the current, exactly. So more the conductance.
Okay.
Okay. So this is all about linear and cutoff. I have already said cutoff is something when your VGS is less than VTM. Okay. Now let's come to the business. Actually, whatever we do in industry, we are actually concerned about the saturation region. Okay. So now when your drain to source voltage is greater than the overdrive voltage, then what happens that from here, actually the channel actually disappears and it goes towards the source. Okay. And your effective channel length actually get reduced to L minus del L, because you can see that the drain is reverse biased.
Yes, sir.
So here it will be depleted. So there will be some depletion, na?
Yes, sir.
So can there be any charge over there on the depletion region?
No, immobile ions will be there.
Okay, immobile ions, so that is not possible.
Yes.
So naturally over there, if you can actually substitute in this equation, you can see that it is actually half Kn dash into W divided by L minus del L and VGS minus VTM. Now it is just basic simple mathematics. If you just expand it, and it is a slight approximation, you have to consider, you have to just, this del L is very small with compared to this L. This is very small. Acha, one thing I have forgotten to mention today, whatever I am discussing, that is not related to short channel effects. Okay.
Okay.
That is not related to any short channel effect. If there is short channel effect, then this del L will be comparable to this factor. Then this approximation is not valid.
Fine, fine.
Okay. So naturally, if you just expand it, you will get this expression like ID is equal to Kn by 2, Kn dash by 2 into W by L. Achha, here this Kn dash is nothing but mu n into COX. Mu n is the mobility, and this COX means the capacitance, means there is a metal layer over here and there will be some induced charge over here. So naturally you can see that it is almost analogous to a parallel plate capacitor.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So naturally there is the capacitance. And one thing I should also tell you that this COX is actually the capacitance per unit area. It is not simply capacitance.
Yeah. So unit
Okay.
will be farad per meter, like centimeter.
No, farad per meter square.
Yeah, area.
Okay. So now what will happen is del L and by del L by L. Now you can see that more you apply the VDS, more there will be reverse bias.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So more will be del L.
Yeah.
More it will get separated. So naturally, you can actually see that this del L by L is actually proportional to VDS. Okay.
Yes.
So this del L by L is actually equal to lambda VDS. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is fine. So
Yes.
on that basis, I have actually written this equation that ID saturation equal to half Kn dash W by L into VGS minus VTN whole square into 1 plus lambda VDS. Now I want to ask you one question. Not question. I think that you are thinking that there is a name saturation.
Yes, sir.
But you can see that with increase in VDS, the current is actually increasing.
Yes, yes.
Okay. If there is no channel length modulation, this is actually channel length modulation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no channel length modulation, this current would have been constant.
Like constant.
Means suppose suppose there is no lambda VDS, suppose. Okay, so let me go through this slide. Suppose there is no lambda VDS, suppose lambda is almost equal to 0 and the current will be equal to half K dash into W by L into VGS minus VT. So it is, you can actually see that this ID current is actually dependent on VGS, not on VDS.
Yes, yes.
It is also dependent on VTN also, but actually it is actually dependent on this
Gate to source voltage.
VGS. It is independent of VDS. But the thing is that in practically, there is actually some channel length, because the effective channel length actually reduces, for which what you will get, let me draw over here. Suppose this is your ID. This is your ID. Just a minute. ID. And this is your VDS. Actually, it was my mistake not to draw the graph. If I've drawn the graph, it could have been much better. Okay. So actually, this is the input. This is the input output characteristics. Means current versus your drain to source voltage, and
VGS
this is like, this is your overdrive voltage. One thing I can tell you, that more the VGS will be, more higher the current will be.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so more higher the current will be. And one thing I can tell you, that this is actually the edge of saturation.
Yes, sir.
Because VDS is equal to VOV. So naturally you can see that you can actually see that it is almost like current, but almost like constant. But there is a slight, just a minute. It is almost constant, almost. This is almost constant, okay. But you can see that still there is a deviation. Okay, that deviation because of the channel length modulation.
Yes.
Okay. So it is very small, but actually we employ that. And one thing I should also tell you, that you can see that there are two slopes over here. This is a slope, and this is the slope. There is a slope. This slope is actually the reciprocal of this slope, is actually what I've given as linear resistance. Because this is linear region, because this is your linear region. So naturally this slope is actually your linear resistance. And now you will also learn that the inverse of this slope is actually your output resistance, which we define in saturation region. And that is the most important factor in our business. Business means in VLSI. We actually use it. Suppose we need a resistor. It's very tough to fabricate a resistor. So what we will do, we will fabricate a MOSFET, and we will just operate in a saturation region, and then you will get a finite slope. This output resistance you will get.
Yes, sir.
Will I repeat again?
No, I got it.
Okay. So naturally, if you fabricate the MOSFET, so you will, and if you fabricate it is very easy to fabricate a MOSFET or a capacitor, something like that. So now what you will get, you will have now you will, if you bias it in the saturation region, and then you will get a finite slope, this finite resistance over there.
We can short the
that will be
gate and source. We can short the
gate. No. Gate and source is not shorted. Okay. Then gate and drain are shorted. To operate in saturation region, the gate and drain are shorted.
Actually, sir, I'm saying about the PMOS. I'm saying about the PMOS. Yeah, you're right.
PMOS also, that will be your drain and gate has to be shorted. If the gate and source is shorted, what will be about VGS? VGS is 0. So will you be able to produce a layer of inversion layer electrons?
No, no, no.
So that is not possible, right? So naturally you need the gate to drain voltage. You can actually make it 0, and then you can actually operate it in the saturation region. Okay. So this diagram is clear to you?
Yeah, yeah, clear.
Okay. So basically, one thing I can tell you that if you actually divide this ID with VDS, if you actually differentiate this ID with respect to VDS actually, then you will see this. Then you will see that here it is given that this output resistance is equal to 1 by lambda ID.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the resistance about which I am talking you. Okay, and since this is high, so more high the output resistance is, more high will be the gain.
Yes, sir.
More high will be the gain. Okay, so naturally that is the thing. Okay, so now let me think about the voltage perspective level. Suppose this is the gate voltage and here is the source voltage. And one thing I'm telling you that this is actually from here to here, it is the overdrive voltage. Also, I have, this is also the overdrive voltage, okay? Both are same. When I've drawn, I have just taken measurement, then both are same. When this drain to source voltage is actually lesser than overdrive voltage, then it is in linear or triad region.
Yes, sir.
Then this is linear or in triad region. When actually this drain to source voltage get increased by this V overdrive, then actually it enters into in saturation region. First of all, and one thing, this is gate to source and this is your VTN. Once you subtract it, you will get this VOV. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So over here, I have actually summarized whatever the equations generally we use in the colleges or in GATE. Generally, we use it. Now, the biggest factor of concern is this factor VSB. Okay. If your source and body, if they are not connected, suppose, then your threshold voltage will change. Suppose you think that, okay, say something like that. Suppose there are MOSFETed which are cascoded. Suppose it is the situation. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir. Sir, clear.
Okay. So naturally, this body is connected to. Naturally, this body is connected to ground, and I said you that this body also needs to be connected to the lowest potential. Say, so naturally it needs to be connected also to the
ground.
Okay. So here, can you tell that this is actually body?
Yes, yes.
And this is body, say B, and this is your source. Okay. So is VSB equal to 0?
No.
Here, VSB is not equal to 0. Here, VSB is equal to 0.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So naturally, same identical transistors are there, suppose, but still the threshold voltages are same or not?
Yes, sir.
Same or not?
Not
Threshold
same.
voltages are same.
No,
yes,
no.
very
Due to
good.
the difference in voltage.
Due to the difference, they are different. Okay, so that is the thing, that if your source to body voltages varies, then your threshold voltage also varies. And over here there is something written. I think you should also read it. Okay. Now the main thing, the MOSFET as an amplifier. Let me tell you a story. I was just wondering that why we need this DC analysis, why we need some AC analysis. Then actually it took me some